The American Museum of Natural History. It houses more treasure than any bank vault in the world, without world-class security. If these thieves can get away with the diamonds, rubies, and sapphires in this hall, it'll be the biggest jewel heist of the century.
The American Museum of Natural History is one of the most famous museums in the world. It is one of the biggest in New York City.
What makes it the most incredible is the J.P. Morgan Gem Collection, which houses some of the most precious and oldest gemstones in the world.
The J.P. Morgan collection is stored in the Morgan Memorial Hall of Gems. That's what it was called back in 1964.
The Hall of Gems was located on the 4th floor. It was about 100 feet long, 60 feet wide, and it had 20-foot ceilings. Along the perimeter wall, there was a row of 20 windows. On the opposite wall were 2 doors covered by decorative grates. They were locked at night to secure the space.
There were alarms on the glass. It was double pane glass, meaning it's very thick, it's very hard to break.
Museum security guards throughout the night, they would do periodic patrols starting on the hour and patrolling an assigned area.
It's a tantalizing target with just enough security to discourage most thieves. But down in Miami, there's a talented trio of young jewel thieves who've just started working together. These guys are bold. None more so than their charismatic leader, Jack Murphy, AKA Murph the Surf.
He actually rises to prominence as a nationally renowned surfer in the late 50s and 1960s.
While Murphy is working in upscale Miami hotels, so he can more easily pick the pockets of unwary tourists, he meets a young man from the Bible Belt with a sharp mind for crime, Alan Kuhn, the mastermind. Honing their skills as a team, the two begin robbing mansions all over South Beach. When the job calls for a getaway driver or a lookout, they have the perfect go-to guy for that as well. Roger Clark, the jack of all trades.
Roger's role, he's the getaway driver. He's also the lookout, and if need be, he's their muscle if push really comes to shove.
The 3 partners in crime decide to take their show on the road.
So Murphy, Kuhn, and Clark traveled to New York in October 1964 for the express purpose of casing the museum.
They're kind of surveying what's at the museum, what's in this collection that they might want to take.
The highlight of the collection is the Star of India sapphire. It displays the 6-pointed star, and that star pattern is very, very rare.
Then you have the Eagle diamond, which is the largest diamond ever found in America.
Another highlight of the collection is the DeLong star ruby. It looks like a piece of candy. It's over 100 carats and also has the asterism star pattern.
And then there's a midnight star, which is often described as a black sapphire. And it's about 116 carats, and it was found in Sri Lanka.
The 3 men begin planning their most ambitious heist ever. Kuhn is laser-focused on the mission.
Kuhn notices that the battery packs that are connected to the security system are corroded, and there may not be an alarm.
There are 19 windows in the Hall of Gems, and every single one of them is left open about 2 inches at the top.
For ventilation purposes. I mean, these are old days before central air conditioning.
The only way in is through those giant windows.
With a way in and ideas on how to beat the alarms and the guards, Kuhn and Clark love their chances.
Now it's showtime.
And they get in Kuhn's white Cadillac convertible, and they drive down to 81st Street and Central Park West. They're going to approach the museum near the planetarium.
Murphy and Kuhn jump the fence and go down a driveway. As they get down the ramp, they see the fire escape that they're intending to climb.
Fire escape then helps them get to a ledge. And the ledge is going to bring them to those giant windows that they saw that lead them right into the promised land, the Hall of Gems.
He puts his foot on the sash, the window goes down.
Far enough so that they can slide into the window without breaking the glass. And then they're off to the races.
It's go time.
They're in position now.
right in front of the Star of India.
Murphy and Kuhn break out their burglary tools and set to work, confident they're minutes away from getting their hands on the biggest jewels they've ever seen.
One of those devices is a glass break. It has a suction cup that attaches to the glass, a rod, and then a scoring device. And then they make a perfect circle, scoring around the center of the case.
Murphy carefully reaches inside the broken case and removes the 563-carat sapphire, the Star of India. They repeat the process on the next glass case. Score, tape, smash, and grab the goods. They decide to push their luck and try for the Midnight Star and the many smaller gems displayed alongside it. These should be much easier to fence than 4 of the most famous stones in the world. Nearly 5 hours after the heist began, Murph the Surf and Alan Kuhn are finally satisfied. With more than 24 gems tucked into their tool bags, it's definitely the biggest score of their lives. All that remains is clean getaway.
They go back out the way that they came in. They go back over to the fire escape and down the face of the building, and they're back in the courtyard. I cannot imagine what was going through these guys' heads when they make it back to the courtyard. Because they've just pulled off the biggest heist in New York history. They haven't set off a single alarm, and they don't have a single guard coming after them as far as they know. So they're feeling pretty darn good about themselves.
Once they're over the fence, they radio Clark with the good news and tell him to clear out. There's just one last bit of business to take care of.
So they're in the bushes and they start dividing the jewels. It kind of becomes an every man for themselves scenario.
As Murphy walks away from Kuhn, he marvels at his own success, the heist of his life. After the heist, Clark immediately drives to his parents' home in Connecticut to lie low. Back at the hotel, Murphy and Kuhn are preparing to get the gems and themselves back to Miami.
While they're eating, sleeping, and breathing the research and the casing of this heist, they're also having fun. They're drinking, they're having parties in their hotel room.
The men are not just living it up, they're also bragging to anyone who might be impressed.
They are not covering up their tracks, and they make themselves vulnerable to being revealed.
Less than 24 hours after the heist, investigators catch a break. Murphy and Kuhn's pre-heist party and liquor-fueled bragging catches up with them.
There was a young man at the party who, for one reason or another, informed on these guys to a uniformed police officer at the local precinct by the museum.
With this lead, NYPD detectives obtain a warrant to search the thieves' suite at the Cambridge Hotel.
Detectives find some of the burglar's tools. They find books about the gems. They find the floor plan.
26 hours after the heist, Roger Clark has no idea the police are onto them, and he returns from his parents' home to the Cambridge Hotel to retrieve his things. Although it's the middle of the night, detectives are still in the suite gathering evidence. For Clark, the jig is up.
And Clark starts to sing almost immediately. And it didn't take long for all of this to start to unravel.
The next morning, law enforcement in Florida rushes to intercept Murphy and Kuhn before they can fence the gems.
The FBI tear up Alan Kuhn's apartment in Miami after the heist, and they don't find a thing.
When Kuhn returns home, they arrest him and demand that he reveal where he's hidden the stones.
The gems haven't been fenced yet. They're still in the possession of Kuhn and Clark, but where are they? The FBI can't find them.
But Kuhn keeps mum. When Jack Murphy gets back to the apartment, he too stays cool under pressure. Clark's confession is enough to arrest Murphy and Kuhn and fly them back to New York. But with no gems as physical evidence, the two men are free to go. Meanwhile, the Museum of Natural History heist is becoming one of the most sensational news stories of the decade.
The press and the public love these guys. They're tan, they're handsome, they're charming, they're bold. Everyone is eating it up.
When the media learns of Murphy, Kuhn, and Clark, they become folk heroes. They are lavishing in their celebrity.
Murph and Coon's newfound fame in New York rankles Manhattan prosecutor Maurice Najari.
So he starts looking back through the records of other jewel thefts, both in New York and in Miami. He comes across a theft that involved the actress Ava Gabor.
She's robbed of her jewels, she's pistol whipped. At the time, it makes headlines. So he sees this story and he goes and has a chat with Ava Gabor. He shows mugshots and she's able to point out that it's Jack Murphy and it's Alan Coon.
Gabor's testimony sends Murphy and Coon to jail.
It didn't take more than a day or two for Kuhn to come forward and say, okay, I want to cooperate. I'll go to Florida and recover the gems.
Based on intel from Coon, Maurice Najari recovers the Star of India and the Midnight Star, along with several smaller gems from a bus station locker in Miami. About 6 months after the heist, Alan Coon, Jack Murphy, and Roger Clark plead guilty to burglary and grand larceny. They're each sentenced to 3 years at Rikers Island. As for the Haul of Gems,
it still houses the DeLong Star Ruby and, of course, the Star of India Sapphire. So anyone can go and see these two gems